Can you hear it? Can you hear all that? There you go. What you are listening to is episode number, I think it's going to be 212. We're going a little out of order here. Of the Mile High Show. This is where Jim Sobo of the Howling Coyote Tour takes over the mics once again for the Howling Coyote Tour Radio Hour episode. It's like his 8th, I think, 8th or 9th. It is 212 of the Mile High Show. And he's taken over to talk about his tour with Crosseyed Possums, who I just met, but I have decided I don't like because they're young, they have hair, and they're talented. So we don't like them already. They do have matching shoes, though. They have, do they always wear matching shoes? Yeah. And Darin Mahoney and Sherry Finzer, Heart Dance Records, and of course you know Darin Mahoney because he is the Darin Mahoney, constant guest of this show. And you're going to hear all about their upcoming tour, their shows at Mark's Beer Garden, and how they're going to invade the state to our left, California, shortly, as they take over California, LA, San Francisco Bay Area. So check them out. Check out HowlingCoyoteTour.com, CrosseyedPossums.com, DarinMahoney.net, HeartDanceRecords.com. Listen to them play, and I am going to turn my mic off, and you don't have to hear me anymore. Oh, use that Amazon link at MileHighShow.com. Support this show, support the artists that we support, and Big Daddy's Barbecue, BDEBBQ.com. That's all the plugs. Let's listen to some music.
This is Jim Sobo. Excuse my sexy voice today. Little under the weather, but we will persevere. The show will go on. I don't even know what episode this is, but I'm going to say it's maybe episode 7 of the Howling Coyote Tour Radio Hour. My name is Jim Sobo, and this is very, very, very exciting. This is our first podcast where I'm actually, let's talk a little bit about the Howling Coyote Tour. The Howling Coyote Tour, for the last 14 years, has taken original singer-songwriters up to the San Francisco Bay Area and showcase them. We usually do about 7 shows. This year we're doing 8. And so this is our 14th year taking original singer-songwriters from the Southwest, specifically the Arizona region, into the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is our first podcast where I'm actually going to be introducing the folks that we're taking on tour for the 2019 14th annual Howling Coyote Tour. Cross-Eyed Possum, say hello.
Howdy.
Howdy. And that is Jonah and Jason Howard and Mr. Darin Mahoney and his lovely, beautiful, special guest, Miss Sherry Finzer, the founder of Heart Dance Records. Say hello.
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 Hello. All right. So for the next hour, we are going to be talking to these great performers. We're going to be asking them about music. We'll be hearing music, and we'll find out about their inspirations, their origins and why they do what they do, and how I got so lucky to take them on the 14th annual Howling Coyote Tour. So, ladies first.
Oh.
So, Sherry Finzer. Sherry is an international performer. Sherry, tell me a little bit about your musical background.
Well, I get asked very often when I started playing the flute. So my answer is back in elementary school in band. And I chose the flute because it was the smallest of all the instruments, and I thought it would be the easiest to carry on the bus. Yeah. And I started practicing and fell in love with it and studied classically for many years. Put the flute away for several years after I got married and started raising our 2 boys, and came back to it really seriously about 19 years ago now. And found myself going from classical, from a move from Rochester, New York, out to Phoenix. Then I started exploring other genres of music and playing with other musicians who taught me so much, just like this guy, Darin Mahoney.
That guy over there.
That guy.
That guy. That is beautiful. And so tell us a little bit about Heart Dance.
Yeah, my label is Heart Dance Records, and it started with just my music back around 2008, 2009. And then I started doing a lot of collaborations with other artists, like this guy, Darin Mahoney.
This guy.
So I started bringing other artists onto the label that way. And then I really felt passionate about the music we were doing. And I wanted to get more of that out into the world, because I do believe that music can help heal in so many ways. And, Darin's story. So that inspired me to start taking on other artists. And now we've grown to about 40 artists that I work with on the label.
Wow.
Internationally. So we have got an artist in Mexico, one in Brazil is our newest one, Germany, and Russia. So It's been quite a ride, and it's been really exciting.
Do you travel?
I do. I just got back from a cruise that I performed on that went to Jamaica, Cozumel, Grand Cayman, and Costa Maya.
Wow.
So that was
fun. So how do you come upon all these artists from all over the world?
Just being in the genre we're in, we're kind of, I don't want to say we're boxed in, but generally we're referred to as New Age.
New Age, yeah.
So as our music started getting played on the radio and other artists started contacting us, and there's just a whole family of New Age artists, and most of us know each other now from different gatherings. There's a Zone Music Reporter chart, and they have an awards show in New Orleans every May.
Wow.
And so we go there and we meet more and more people with the same interests and styles of music that we have. So we've just kind of built this huge network, and
that's beautiful.
And it's great.
You've given all of these great artists a home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's really hard as a musician.
Yeah.
So I felt I kind of paved a way, and I wanted to take others along with me, because I know how hard that struggle is. So if I can find a really good artist and help promote them, that's just means the world to me that I'm able to do that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's kind of why I do the tour. Actually, is just to get artists that I see from the area and I try to expose them.
Yeah, because you hear it and you go, people need to hear your music.
Absolutely.
Let me help you.
Absolutely, yeah. And so who is this funny guy next to you over here?
You're setting me up.
This is my brother from another mother, Darin Mahoney.
This guy.
This guy. So really, I think my journey started with growing the label from meeting Darin. We recorded the album Transformation in 2013, and we would play, and just so many people would come up to us and tell us how much the music moved them, and that they thought our music would be great for.
From the first time we played together, we didn't even know each other.
Mm-hmm.
That people came, we're like, oh, these guys had, because when you're playing with somebody, and you really connect on that Nirvana wave or that level, you kind of look at each other and smile like, I'm there too. I'm there. But you don't get that with, you don't get that with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, it's like a drug. You want to hold on to it and see how long you can surf that,
Yeah, that's amazing. So how did you guys meet?
Oh gosh, I used to play for a country artist, and we got invited up to Greer, Arizona, for the benefit for the Wallow wildfire that went through up there, the biggest fire that went rolling through New Mexico and Arizona. And they did a big benefit deal, and they started bringing in local artists and other stuff. And I got up there, and we were going to be playing. I think
You played right after me, I think.
Yeah, and Sherry's up there playing, and I do have a background from different style of music. I grew up playing bluegrass, country, rock, whatever. I mean, I went through the whole gamut, but she got done playing, and we're up there performing, and she's off the side of the stage. Well, the stage manager came up and she goes, pulled me off the side while we were performing. She goes, "Do you mind if she comes out and plays with you guys?" I'm like, "I'm fine with it if the artist is fine with it, And so she came out, and right away, I think we did "Stand By Me" by Benny King of all tunes, and then "Something More" by Sugarland. We did those tunes, and she was at home up there. So after we got done, I just unplugged my acoustic and went run off side stage, put my guitar away, and I was looking because I was working on an album of instrumentals, and I really thought, wow, this would be a really cool little sound to have some of this flute, because she plays so many different varieties of flutes: alto, soprano,
The bass.
subcontra, the big 8-foot tall one.
Yeah, I'm bringing that with me too.
Yeah, she's bringing those with. It sounds like that big bass looks like a big number 4. Sounds like an upright bass.
So I want to take lessons from you on the bass, so I can do what you do on my contrabass flute.
But so after we got done, I was at a point in my life where I was playing the cover tunes so much that I felt like I was just being a jukebox. And it was the same thing, 4 hours, get home late. And I started getting burnout on it, and I made good money, but it was just burnout on it. And I think she was in the same place. She was doing a lot of orchestral stuff, playing with flute quartets and other things. And so I get a phone call from her, and she's recording an album, one of her Earth series, and she invited me in to record on a couple songs. And then after she got done, I said, "Why don't you come and record on a couple of mine?" And while we were doing that, we the whole time we're like, "Oh man, great idea." We really worked good together, putting songs together or putting stuff in a song. The one thing I really like about these guys, Crosseyed Possum, is very few people know how to respect space and dynamics, and how to bring a song, how to introduce a song, how to bring it in. And that's why we were really important on that. We were like, let's do this, let's try this, and so we just decided to do an album together. And being both of us were tired of what we were doing, it was a transformation. Mm-hmm. It was that's what we ended up naming the album. From such a background of playing, bluegrass, country, Slayer, Ozzy, all of that stuff, and to be able to be and doing this stuff, it was just very satisfying for me.
Yeah, I mean, that as well is part of the concept of the Howling Coyote. Is when I first moved here about 20 years ago, I go to a place called Coyote Joe's, and there was a singer-songwriter night, and it was just original songs, basically, by singer-songwriters. And I'd gotten out of the industry myself from LA and the Bay Area, and I was raising my daughter and taking care of my mom. And I saw these amazing artists who were playing original music, and without the commercial influence behind it and the machine behind it. And it was just heartfelt. Good. And it brought me back to a place that it reminded me of why we write in the first place,
right?
Why we play and write,
right?
And where that should come from,
right?
And so I understand,
and it was weird because people, when they started hearing this music I was playing, because they had seen me perform when I was younger and stuff, they were kind of little, the heck's going on here, Windham Hill guy now, and when I ended up, that was what changed that whole thing. Is a quick synopsis of it. In '96, I ended up with stage 4 liver cancer and given 3 months to live. And while in the hospital, people were bringing me in music, and they were bringing me in, Zeppelin and all Stevie Ray Vaughan, all that stuff, which I love. But at that moment, I didn't want to listen to it. And a friend of my dad's gave him a bunch of these CDs from Windham Hill Records. and he brought him in, and they put him in, and man, just to be able to sit there, just have killer acoustic guitar, relaxing. I felt it was really calming me down because I'm going to die in 3 months. So I was trying to be as positive as I could. And this music, I believe, was hugely a big part, along with the chemo, in my healing from it. I ended up, like 7 months later, going into remission with an experimental chemo. So, Will Ackerman with Windham Hill Records, I was so grateful for the music that he put out there. And it was like, little did I know, big circle down the road, we'd become really good friends. I'd go to his place and record in Vermont. Michael Hedges, Michael Manring, all these guys, and we became really good friends. It wasn't just about the music, because I know Will's story as well. We kind of have similar stories, but just in different areas. That guy was worth a lot of money at one time and unhappy, And this music, I just felt the way it transformed me. I started studying it a little bit more in open tunings, throwing the guitar against the wall, seeing what happens and see what you could make out of it, kind of thing. And writing the song was a journey in itself, exploring, and I don't know, that's where I came from. But meeting her was a huge thing. She, like you said, we're brother and sister musically, and really good friends. So it's been a great journey. I get to meet people like these guys and, everybody else out there doing this.
Isn't it just, it's like asteroids flying through space. Not to get too spiritual, but sometimes
It's the universe.
yeah, it's just when opportunity hands itself over to two people that are in the same place at the same time spiritually, and they both have something to offer each other that fills a void within themselves,
right,
whether it's musically or spiritually. It's just, it's goosebumps.
Right.
It's amazing, amazing stuff. And everybody hears that when you guys play. So for everybody out there in podcast land, I can't wait till you get
and
to
we
hear
laugh
this.
a lot. So,
Yeah. And what's so great about this particular tour is that I'm representing from my little corner of the planet on this tour this year, two ends of a musical spectrum. And I know what's going to happen as we get out there. And I try to create a bridge between these two styles that...
Oh, I can see some afternoon sessions
sitting in
the rooms. And
be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's jump over to the other side of that spectrum, to Cross-Eyed Possum. Hello, Jonah. Hello, Jason.
How you doing?
How are you guys today?
Oh, we're great. Excited to be here.
Excellent. So, you guys are family.
That we are. Pretty close family. I'd say good friend.
And when did music come into your lives? Like, really? Like, not... I know your dad, and your mom, and I know that you heard stuff being played around the house, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Blasting since we were born. Yeah,
right.
All the time. 24/7.
Allman Brothers,
Yeah, everything ranging from Allman Brothers
the
Beatles, Miles Davis, just pretty much everything we could get our hands on, I would say.
And your little beautiful baby brains just sucked it all up.
I hope so. Yeah. We'll find out.
And so when do you feel, at what age do you guys feel that you kind of separated yourselves from listening to, you also grew up in band and
correct,
school.
Yeah.
And, had your academic commitments to music. But when did you separate that from starting to create and starting to kind of take your own little ship into the sea of music?
Well, I think the creation part happened around, I think, the age of 14 years, when we were getting into high school a little bit, seeing all these fresh new experiences. We were traveling a lot, getting to places like the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, huge inspirations there. And I think just seeing those musicians, I mean, we've heard them forever, and just being able to finally see people play and see how much fun it was kind of kickstarted our avenues into being able to create just like they were.
So you could see yourself there. You're like, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I would say just kind of like we liked what we saw, and we loved what we heard, always. And, listening's still a huge part of what we do all the time. I would say we're probably still more champion listeners than players at this point, We just suck everything in, it's all great stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So you guys have been on this road now for about 5 years?
I would say 5 years. Yeah, 5 years is a good way to sum that up.
And so in the last 5 years, how did Crosseyed Possum come about?
Well, we played a lot with some friends in middle school when we were getting into that transitional stage, the summer between middle school and high school. That's really when we started playing with other people, and I think that kickstarted Crosseyed Possum as a concept. When we started writing music, and I think it was our mom that came up with the idea. We were brainstorming a band, and we could not find a name for the life of us. And we were going through like old vacation photos or something, and it was us at some petting zoo with this little weird cross-eyed possum thing, and like wrapped up in a blanket. And we're like, I mean, we like weird music. We like Grateful Dead and all that type of stuff. Why not go with something weird? So
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
yeah, and then. Past that point, we started writing music that was, I'd say, pretty mainstream influenced, and after a little while, I'd say around like sophomore year, we started liking bands a lot more, like Chris Robinson Brotherhood and stuff like that, and which is break off from the Black Crowes and inspiration from the Grateful Dead, just stuff like that, and that's when we started to get our more now sound, and it lives up to the name a little bit more, I'd say.
It's when we were inspired to actually sing instead of play just grungy
That
chords all
too.
day.
For the longest time, we were just a instrumental act playing chords and seeing where that took us. I guess I guess the foundation has to be built somewhere, though.
Yeah. I was honored enough to be able to record you a couple of years back.
That's right. Yeah.
And you are a tour alumni. This is your second Howling Coyote Tour.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Yeah, so I think it worked out really, really well.
So be gentle with
actually.
this, guys.
Yeah. So enough talking. I think it's time for us to play a little bit of music. Let's go ahead and get Darin and Sherry on.
We're gonna do one off of. We also have a trio that we play around with when he's available, because he's touring all over the world. He plays with our Carlos Nakai, William Eaton. He plays with a lot of different people. So when he's available, we have a trio called Trilogue, like a dialogue for two people. This is a three-way conversation, music-wise. So we're gonna do one off of that. I think Dark Horse.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. I just picked it out. Okay, there we go.
Excellent. So, whoever came up with the word new age music was out of their mind. That is the lamest term for what the
In fact, Will Ackerman hates the term.
I bet he
cringes
does.
when he
We
hears
do
it.
try to
I'll
stay
bet
away
he
from
does.
it.
Yeah, we're kind of more adult, contemporary, instrumental with a plethora of influences.
Yeah, it's
Perfect
you know what?
genre,
It's
man.
just
Yeah.
good music.
That's much more beautiful. Yeah.
You know, it's just good music. It's cultured music. It's articulate. It's about tone and a quality that you just don't hear that often.
Thank you.
So, I mean, new age is just like, let's just can that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a guest bass player on our album Trialogue, Cass Anawati, and he likes to refer to it as escape music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, or just beautiful music. I mean, if you talk to James Taylor
Mm-hmm.
and ask him, you know, what his music sounds like when there's no vocals, you know,
Right.
I mean, there's really not much of a leap between that
Right.
and what you guys play, you know.
So often when we do house concerts, we like to do house concerts a lot because it's a more intimate setting and we really get to know the people
They
in
hear the
attendance.
stories behind the songs because you're doing instrumentals. So how did we come about writing them? What was the
Yeah.
picture?
But a lot of times people come and they don't know what to expect, flute and guitar, and they're used to
Yanni
hearing.
and
Yeah, they're
somebody
used
else.
to hearing singer-songwriters and with vocals, and we don't sing, and so they're very surprised. And I love hearing those types of comments from them because
my
it just
God.
floors them.
Yeah.
And
When I showcased you last, I believe it was at our December show.
Right.
And the first time I've showcased an act without any vocals. And so I was just wondering how it was going to go. And of course, it was the most inappropriate venue ever for you guys. But, you know, Darin's like, I got no problem with it. You know,
Yeah.
we've played all kinds of places. So I was like, okay.
I've done stuff at the Birdcage, and I remember the first time I moved here, I got invited up by Don Chi, and my wife's like, well, you know, because I play bluegrass, you fox on a ride. I love, you know, I love the new grass stuff more than I appreciate the old, but I'm really Sam Bush and all those guys. I just really love that stuff. So I can do that. I love doing Glenn Campbell. I sing and I perform. I do that, you know, on a solo thing. But my wife's like, what are you going to do? You know, everybody's up there, ooh, we ride me high. You know, they're all singing these songs. And I said, I'm going to do an instrumental. If they boo me, they boo me. And I got up there, and Don's like, do you need any, you know, vocal? And I said, well, I'll just talk a little bit. And I started playing. And you know how the Birdcage, it's noisy. And as I started playing, all of a sudden you could just hear the volume drop till it was just dead silence. And, you know, I got done with my 3 songs, and I thought, well, you know, that was cool. I did something nobody else is doing, but I took a hell of a risk. You know, just getting done and hearing that. You guys know what I'm talking about. The slow clap.
but even when we were done playing at Mark's Beer Garden,
Oh, yeah, they loved it. Yeah.
There was a guy that came up. He had tears in his eyes, and he was
Yeah.
just saying how
And
beautiful
that,
it
you know,
was.
yeah. And the same exact thing happened at Mark's. And you got construction workers. You've got, you know, regulars.
Well, it helps that I'm pretty good looking, too.
I don't know.
There you go.
That's hard to do with that
You know.
lady next to you
I
right
know.
there. But yeah, I mean, it's a rough crowd at Mark's. I would say even more. Well, I don't know about even more than the Birdcage, but I'd say it's parallel. And
Prescott
so,
appreciates every kind
No
of music.
doubt.
You know, that's what I
Yeah.
love about this place. You know, what, Kenny Rogers, drummer, he lives in Prescott Valley. You know, you got all these musicians that have kind of hung their hat up here. And on an off night, like me and my wife were at Murphy's and eating dinner. It was just kind of a night to get out. And it was just like 2 days after you said this other guy was out, and the old Crosseyed Possum was going to be on the tour. And I'm like, cool. I think I had seen your guys' names on, like, you know, Windows or something like that for advertising or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think I remember one of you, I think, wasn't you playing with Sugar in the Men or
Oh,
you?
yeah, over there, Jason.
I
yeah.
remember that. But when we were walking by, I could hear, and I was like, I wonder if Don's playing or Drew or something like that. And I'm walking by, and all of a sudden I see these two guys sitting there playing. But the music, before I even saw these guys, the music, I was really kind of like a horse. Whoa, let's check this out. And we walked in, and I looked at the sign, and I said, "Oh my God, Ames!" She goes, "What?" I said, "These are the guys that are going on the tour." So we walked in, and I called her the next day. I said, "Wow, these guys, their talent. I mean, and your musicianship is unbelievable."
Thank you very much.
You can tell you can tell family when family or people really close together, but mostly family when they play together. There's a certain chemistry that happens there that's you can't really get.
The Ping brothers.
Yeah. Frank and Don. Yeah.
Same day
Doug.
birth helps a lot in that situation, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So Darin mentioned Prescott, and that's a place. It's about almost 6,000 feet up. It's about a little mile-high town in what would be, I guess, northern Arizona, and that's where we broadcast from. Thanks to Mr. Matt Santos, and Matt's stream, which is at milehighshow.com. Please check it out. That's where we do the Howling Coyote radio hour and where we do Howling Coyote shows and where the Howling Coyote Tour leaves from to go up to the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a beautiful place. You should come and check it out. All right, since Darin had thrown the ball into your court.
You liked how I did that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Segue.
Yeah. That was awesome. Quick question. You gentlemen just came back from your first year of college each.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
One went north, one went south. What was that like? Tell me about your last year of musical education.
The separation was difficult, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
I had a tough time being away from this guy.
Yeah, we're the most
A year.
most creative about our own styles of music when we're together. Like you guys were talking about, like that brother-sister connection type thing. We have that a lot with us as well. And when you separate that, especially trying to write the kind of music that we write together when you're apart, it becomes very difficult. But we were focusing on, because we both go to school for jazz performance, and he also does the orchestral performance on his bass. We were benefited greatly by the technical aspects that we learned at school, for sure. Yeah, and we hope to continue doing that throughout the next 3 years.
That's amazing. So you built up your skills a little bit. and-
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And your library to draw from.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And different tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
Right?
I would say
And-
so.
And how you can transfer what you've learned from different genres into what you do as an act with Crosseyed Possum. So let's go ahead and hear what you sound like now.
Yeah. We're going to do a tune called Keep Walking On. It's a relatively new song, not on our latest album.
From
but
our next album. I
Yeah.
guess.
Our next album is
That
what we
hasn't
say.
been recorded yet.
Hasn't been recorded or released yet, but be on the lookout.
Excellent. I love it. All right.
Got to keep on walking on now. Keep walking on. Road's getting sandy and your feet are dragging on. The road's getting real low. You don't know where to go. Keep walking on. Gotta make up for lost time, sleeping on the job. So get back to the room, you know the one, and work till the day is done. Keep walking on. Keep walking on. days are getting longer, and you don't know if any of these tireless nights are paying off. Waking up before the sun does, try and get back on track, putting yourself to the edge one more time. Gotta make up for lost time, sleeping on the job. So get back to the room, you know the one, and work till the day is done. Don't think you've already lost, even if your doubts aren't gone. Keep walking on. Up for lost time, sleeping on the job. So get back to the room, you know the one, work till the day is done. Gotta make up for lost time, sleeping on the job. So get back to the room, you know the one, and work till the day is done. Keep walking on, 'cause times just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause times just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause times just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause times just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause time just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause time just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause time just keep getting harder. Keep walking on, 'cause time just keep getting harder. Walking on.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, man, what the heck was that?
That was amazing.
I tell you what. What was the song that I recorded by you guys? Better.
Yeah, it was called The Better. It wasn't in
Right.
reference to what we were playing. It was
Right.
but it was I think it was a song about endearing or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was a great
Yeah.
song. But nothing. It was a tremendous song.
Mm-hmm.
But I can hear the absorption of your education, and I can hear the next step of Cross-Eyed Possum.
Yeah.
And if that keeps happening exponentially over the next 3 years, you guys are just going to be like somewhere in the stratosphere or something.
Nice.
Thank you.
By
I
Sure
see
hope so.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
by 2022 or something. You guys are
Well,
gonna
thank
take
you.
off. It'll be like cross-eyed rocket.
Yeah, that's the evolution.
Yeah,
for sure,
I can hear it. I can hear it.
LASIK surgery Possum.
There you go. That's
See straight now.
the next step.
Oh my
man.
God, that's hilarious. All right, so let's go back to Darin and Sherry. So Darin, when you started playing acoustically, and you had the breadth of your experience with bluegrass and country and a little bit of rock and roll,
Right.
that was an I lived the
awesome rock and roll lifestyle.
Right.
I played a lot of bluegrass and country.
Right,
There we go.
exactly, right. How did you find? I know you were listening to the music, and it was
Right.
part of your healing process
Right.
of the articulation and that tone
Okay.
of that style. Did it take you a while to be able to transfer where you had come from in music to find your place in this new genre that you now play?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I've done this reference before. You know, when I was a little kid, I remember hearing Charlie Rich on the piano and just the soulfulness of his voice. But then I started hearing people like Roy Clark and Chet Atkins and Jerry Reed and, just how is the sound coming out of the guitars. Then my parents took me to a John Denver concert, and I was just amazed at what that guy was doing in the round with just a guitar and how everybody was just like listening to this guy talk, hanging on every word. With that, moving out to here to Arizona from Michigan, I started getting more into the bluegrass. Just going to the festivals. I went to every festival around Four Corners, Wickenburg. They used to have it up in Show Low, Payson, the Fiddlers Contest, Prescott when it used to be out of Watson. You get the Desert Rose guys out there, or what's his name, McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. You get these guys out there, but then going to the Telluride festivals. I loved going to the concerts, out at the park. That was fun. But to me, the best part was strapping on the guitar the week before the festival and going around and meeting everybody that was pulling in for the festival that weekend and seeing the young kids. I mean, I remember seeing a mandolin player. He couldn't have been this tall. The mandolin was probably half his height. And 2 a.m, just ripping it up. I mean, everybody just stood out of the way and watched this kid come in there, and I thought, where does that come from? And being able to soak in the plethora, I called it, that's why I'm getting to my point, it's a melting pot of influence stew. I think everybody has a little bit of everything that they take from it, because you hear a lick. I hear licks he was doing, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I know that lick. I remember asking a guy, because I don't read a lick of music. Everything is just by listening and playing, and asking and learning. And I've had some great, I was telling these guys, Carol Pallet, phenomenal guitarist. People, when they hear her perform, they're just blown away. I just love listening. That's what I'm looking forward to most, is listening to these two guys playing. I mean, I love that we get to play, but you also, when you're touring with somebody that you really enjoy listening to, it makes it that much more fun.
That's a great part of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that when I get to play with two other performers or two other acts that I admire and respect, and after my set's done, I get to watch them play.
Nice.
And then you start thinking about your next set, and start, and when we get to spend time on the road with each other, during the daytime, while we're just kicking around, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Songs get written. You just never know.
Looking forward
So
to
I'm going
it.
to throw the same question to Sherry. Sherry, your background is very technical and very, a lot of hard work
Yes.
went into your craft.
Hours and hours and hours of practicing a
and
day.
It was hard for
Yeah.
her to go into improv.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard
Right.
for her.
And so this is her question.
I'm sorry.
Just like my husband.
Oh my gosh. So, as I was saying, coming from that background, into what you do now with Darin. I hear you, throwing in some blues licks, and I hear you throwing in some jazz. How is that transition for you? Was it because I know classical artists that are technicians, and I can
that's
see
what I
the
used to be.
analytical mind, and they're seeing formulas in the way that mathematicians do. And that, if you ask them to jam, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So how did you get from that background to being able to, throw in those blues licks and jazz licks and stuff like that? How did you make that leap?
Yeah, I was that person that I couldn't play anything unless I had the sheet music in front of me. So when we moved out here, my husband and I moved out in 2005 to Phoenix. And I did not know one single person in the Valley. And it was starting over. It really was. And I started teaching at a small school in Ahwatukee called Music Makers Workshops. So I was teaching in one room, and in the next room was a guitar player who played some jazz and some flamenco and some classical. And so we got to talking, and we did a few gigs together and some weddings, and he recorded on my very first album, which was not my own music. It was composed music by different composers. And at that point, I hadn't started to improv yet, but I also ran into a harpist who wanted to get out of doing weddings and experiment. She wanted to learn how to improv too. So we said, okay, well, let's get together. We'd get together in her living room, and nobody else was around, so it was safe to experiment and make mistakes. I also at that same time met a flamenco guitarist who wanted me to join his band, and he said, well, you're going to have to improv. And I was like, I can't. And he said, no, yes, you can. And so I would just go home and practice. Now, I also have the influence of my son, Nick, who has played jazz since he was in middle school. So I've got that influence. Now I draw the blues influence from Darin, playing with Darin. So just many different people that I've played with have kind of melded me into what I'm doing today. But I have to say, if you're a classical musician out there, the best thing to do is throw that sheet music away and just learn to play. I had to learn to play by ear. I don't even know, when I play with somebody, I don't even want them to tell me what the chord changes are. I'm like, just tell me what the key is, because it's very challenging for me to try to think that way, all the chord changes. So I just play, and it just works. I don't know. I can't really explain it.
Yeah, it's who you are now.
Yeah. I just know where the music's going, and I know where to go.
What you've become, just like Darin, this is what you have become.
We always liken it to the hockey player and the figure skater. I'm a little bit country and rock and roll. It's just what a way to join to a bunch of different styles. Yeah. But yet be able to read each other's minds. We record that in the studio, which she'll sit in an ISO booth. I'm in an ISO booth. We can see each other, but we're, it's like, oh, what are you doing right there? Hold on. All right, how about, and we start working that way. And then when it happens, you're like, oh, yeah. It's like, let's do that.
But sometimes we're in studios and we don't see each other, and we still, there's something telepathic that we have.
Connect between walls. You can still,
and we just,
because you know each other. You guys know each other, and that's what I talk about, family and brother and sister. It's you kind of know that far in advance, like, oh, I see what he's doing. Okay, so he's going to do this, isn't it? Like when you guys came in, he says, I knew you were going to play that. It's that way. It's like I just flashed before. And even if we're playing and, being the guitarist, sometimes I mess up on a chord, or I don't go in when I'm supposed to. She catches it. Same with her. If she ends up, I could tell just by the first note that she's going to the verse instead of the chorus. Vice versa. We both know how to catch each other. And then when you're done, it's like, yeah, that was rehearsed.
All right. Would okay, sorry.
Matt Santos directing this episode.
Yeah. And again, Matt Santos is making this all happen, the Howling Coyote Tour radio hour at milehighshow.com. So definitely check Matt out. He is what I call the safety net of Prescott in regards to creativity and photography and stand-up comedy. So check him out. He gets out there into the clubs and just kind of is fly on the wall, just kind of makes us all look a lot.
We really appreciate everything you do.
A
Matt.
lot better than we are probably
You
most of the time. Okay, may I ask you guys to play another song?
Sure, as long as Cross-eyed Possum plays with us.
Okay then.
All right.
That would be great.
Yeah.
think they might be rising. The anger is flying. Please try to keep your demons down. You're showing off yourself, flying off the shelf, working hard to please you all. I'm a working man, doing whatever I can to get you to think about that. I'm driving across the country, yearning for that longing, just to get away, far away from you. But there's no escape. The farther I run, the closer I come. Farther I run, oh, the closer I come. Farther I run, closer I come. The farther I run, the closer I come.
All right. Wow. Once again, and wow. Unbelievable. So that's what, I don't know if there's anybody out there in podcast land that happens to be from the San Francisco Bay Area, but that's what's coming, people. And we're going to bring a little bit of Southwestern love your way, and that's what that sounds like here this year on the 2019 Howling Coyote Tour coming at you. We'll be stopping in L.A. on Sunday, the 14th of July, playing at the Mar Vista Farmers Market from approximately 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we'll be having some special guests on top of what's already going on. A great piano player named Matthew Hurwitz that was part of my band back there years ago. It's going to sit in with me on a couple of tunes. And then we're off on the road playing. First show is in Novato, and then we're just playing several different shows, ending on Sunday the 21st in San Francisco at the San Francisco Brewing Company in Ghirardelli Square. So check out www.howlingcoyotetour.com, and you can see all the tour dates and come check us out. We're doing a benefit show actually that first Tuesday, the 15th of July, I believe. No, the 16th of July, Tuesday the 16th of July, at a place called Mantra Wines in Novato, California, that will be benefiting the Marin School of the Arts. So check that out, as well as all the other shows will be all over the place in Petaluma, in Windsor, in so many places I can't even tell you. So let's go ahead and plug some sites. Tell us what's going on at Heart Dance Records, about any shows coming up, or where can people find Darin's music, and where can they find Heart Dance Record artists?
Sure, they can go to heartdancerecords.com, and we have artist pages for all of our artists, so they can find out more about them there. So Darin has a page, and I have a page.
Excellent.
And so all of our music can be purchased at all the regular retail sites, Amazon, iTunes, Bandcamp. You can stream it on Spotify and Pandora. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And how about Crosseyed Possum? Where can people hear you? You have any shows coming up?
We do have a show coming up 4th of July at a little place called Granite Mountain Brewing in Prescott. It's a great little spot.
Excellent.
So come on out if you get a chance. Yeah, and
This will be after the 4th.
oh, this will be after the 4th. Okay, so maybe not that one.
No, it was a great show, and it was packed.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great show and it was
Sold
packed. So
out.
thank you all for coming to that
Thanks
one.
for coming, guys.
Yeah, but in other places, Mark's Beer Garden, first one of this tour, and we're also on Spotify as well, and all those places to find music. And we have a website, www.crosseyedpossum.com. You can find all of our live shows there, and as well as our music and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Yes, the actual first show on the tour this year is here in Prescott, Arizona at Mark's Beer Garden on Friday, July 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. You can catch Sherry Finzer, Darin Mahoney, and Cross-Eyed Possum, and myself, Jim Sobo. Thank you for another wonderful hour of music and discussion, and we'll be seeing you next time. I'm going to now hand the mic over to Mr. Matt Santos.
And that's how it ends.